And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 5, episode 45. And I've said this a couple times on the show, but when I started the QCast in March of 2021, I never actually thought anyone would watch it. I thought I might have to ask people to watch it. And I certainly didn't think like legit Hoopers would become fans of the show to the point that they actually wanted to come on. So what I'd like to say is this next guest, our guest today, Shane Fernald of Hampden-Sydney, has been an enormous supporter of the show. He's been a fan of the show, and he's wanted to come on the show just to talk hoops. And he has been incredibly gracious about supporting the show. He is a 6'7" junior forward from the Hampden-Sydney Tigers, 17-3, 10-1, tied atop the ODAC. Shane Fernald, can't thank you enough for how much you've supported the show. How are you doing? Tell me what's going on there, Shane.
Yeah, I'm great. We've been talking about this for a really long time. Obviously, a lot of people on Twitter have seen those interactions. But yeah, it's really cool. Like what you do for Division III basketball, it's like really, really awesome. And I just like take pride in kind of like the stigma around Division III. So I love keeping up with everything. And obviously you've had Adam on twice. So it's really easy to support your show, support what you do. So yeah.
Well, I really do appreciate it, and we've had some fun with this. And you're having a monster season, and I want to talk to you about that. So you're averaging 12.6 points a game, 7.7 rebounds a game, 3.3 assists per game. You're shooting 57% from the field on a team that is 17-3, 10-1. So let's just talk about the season first,
Mhm.
because maybe I'll just start here. As coming into the year, I don't know that anyone knew what to think of you guys. I talked to Adam about this, but
Mhm.
you guys had a 7-man rotation last year that went to the national championship game. And only two of those guys returned, really, in terms of true minutes, you and Adam.
Mhm.
Did you think, Shane, like, did you think that you guys could be here at this point atop the ODAC at 17-3 when we were in like September, October?
Um, I do like to think that I thought it. Maybe some people would say delusion because I'm just so confident in the guys that we have. But yeah, I mean, a lot of things we like to say at Hampden-Sydney is like it's not about who's doing it, it's about what you're doing. So I mean, with Coach Kimbrough, obviously one of the best coaches in the country, it's really easy to kind of buy into what he's saying. And we had a couple guys, a couple older guys who like found minutes last year, weren't really in the rotation, but we knew what type of players they were. And then we knew good. So we kind of just we knew it was going to be a struggle to put all that together. But we were never lacking confidence in what we could do with Coach Kimbrough at the helm.
Yeah, I think Adam said it on the show. Like, we weren't looking to prove anyone wrong. We were looking to prove each other ourselves. We were looking to prove ourselves right. I thought that was an awesome way to put it.
Hmm.
And you've had some guys step up this year. Some
Hmm.
guys that, a couple new guys that have come in, a few guys that were on the roster last year that are just
Yeah.
now getting their chance this year.
Hmm.
Talk a little bit, Shane, if you would, specifically about some guys this year that have joined you and Adam in forming what is a great Tigers team this year. Who are some of those kind of the guys that weren't totally in the mix last year that are now very critical to what you're doing?
Yeah. So to start off, Nick Shryock at number 5.
Yeah.
We asked Nick to from the start of his college career to be a 1 all the way down to a 4 this year, and he's never complained about it. He's always done the dirty work, and this year he's obviously in the rotation a lot more, playing about like 30 minutes a game. And yeah, he's just really great for us. He's like a do-it-all kind of like hybrid guard wing kind of player. He's steady. He's always in control of like his emotions, our emotions. He's a really good leader for us. Adam loves starting games with telling him to set the tone on defense. So yeah, we rely on him a lot. Obviously Eamon McGowan, shooter.
Yeah.
He found like spot minutes last year. But then this year he's come on strong. He's shooting it well. He's defending. He's rebounding. Just what Coach Kimmer wants him, like ask him to do. And then we had two like transfers come in, Hamilton Campbell and then Colin Radcliffe, two Division II
Yeah.
transfers. They're from the North Carolina area, so I've kind of known them for a while, but they came in and they were immediately just like lights in the locker room, funny guys, great guys, just like all around. And obviously they're really good basketball players. Really a huge part of why we are where we are. And then yeah, I mean Alex Cannon, big guy off the bench. He's had some tremendous games. Just like he comes in and just like it's a spark. He'll get like two offensive rebounds and like a dunk, and everybody's like, "Whoa!" Like you're unstoppable at points. But yeah, I mean, just a lot of guys stepping up, a lot of guys buying into like roles. Obviously, not all those roles are glamorous. Like it's kind of hard to be a player if you don't know you're going to play this game or not.
Right.
It's really hard to get in that game and then like still produce. So I thought guys have just done a really good job of like knowing their role, buying into it, and then that's where we are. Why we are where we are.
So I want to ask about your personal side of that. Like you just talked about guys that they might not know if they're getting in the game or not. Maybe they don't have a glamorous role. They're kind of a role player. But that's who you were, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you graduated from high school in 22,
Mm-hmm.
and in the 23 season for Hampden-Sydney, you played in all of 7 games and you averaged point 0.3 points,
Mm-hmm.
0.9 rebounds.
Yeah.
Last year, your sophomore year, you played in all 34 games. You came off the bench. You averaged 5-3 on a team that went to the Final Four, to the national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year, you're a starter and an absolute key guy, averaging 13, 7, and 3. I think you're even a captain on this team. Are you one of the captains of this team, Shane?
Yes, sir. It's me, Adam, and Colin Radcliffe.
So like talk to about a little bit about like getting better and developing and working hard and going from a guy who as a freshman really was not in the mix whatsoever to
Mhm.
being a key junior on a great team. Tell us what that took.
Yeah, I mean, I came into like a really good, but I could really just narrow it down to front court with Davidson Hubbard, obviously, who's now
Yeah.
at Baylor, and then Josiah Hardy, who's at Karen. So there's like really good guys to learn from. I wasn't coming in as a freshman and thinking like, oh, I'm going to sit. Obviously, the mindset you have is you want to play.
Right.
But I came in and just like I tried to just like head down work, and obviously didn't really lead to like the glamorous role that we were talking about. But and then coming into my sophomore year, I knew that we basically had the same team. So it was just kind of like a how much can you like impact or how much can you grow individually so that you can like help the team as a whole. So yeah, just like coming to that season, it kind of didn't know what to think. Same team basically coming back. You didn't play the year before, so it's kind of like a weird situation. But yeah, I just like I think it really helps me as a leader because I went through the not playing. Am I going to play a lot? Am I not going to play? And then now I'm playing pretty consistently. I think it helps me see everyone's kind of perspective, like on the bench. Like if anyone's
Sure.
um, like going through the same things that I went through, I think I have a really good perspective because I've been through each situation. So yeah, I think it's really like helped me grow as a leader. Just because I can relate, I can connect to guys, even if they're not getting in the game a lot or even if they like kind of have fluctuating minutes, I think I can really like talk to them and kind of be there for them in like a weird situation because it's really tough as a college basketball player coming in as a freshman. So yeah.
In terms of leadership, because that's what a captain is as a leader, and it's a big deal to be chosen to be a captain of a team, any team.
Mhm.
Um, what about your approach within the team, Shane, has led to you being trusted to be a captain? Like, what are some of the things that you feel like you do that's allowed you to be put in that really important role?
Yeah, I think it was just like showing that I care. Like I'm a really like emotional guy. Like it shows on the court sometimes, but I just like when I care about something, I really show it, and it's really evident that I care about it. So I think with the returners from last year, they saw how much I cared throughout the end of last season when I kind of went on like my personal kind of run, and then throughout the summer, just like reaching out to guys, like how are you doing? Like are your workouts going well? That kind of stuff. Yeah, just like showing that I care. I think that's really big because it's like tough in Division 3. Your coaches don't really interact with you in this. They interact with you, but there's no workouts or there's no like set kind of
Right.
like here at this time. So yeah, just like constantly communicating and like supporting those guys even like in the off season, I think really led to that. And just like the emotional like I care so much like mindset that I usually give off. I think that was a big part of it early on in the preseason as well.
Going back to last year, what was that like to make that run to Fort Wayne and get to experience the Final Four? You play your conference rival Guilford in the
Yeah.
national semifinal. You play Trine in a really great game in the national championship game.
Hmm.
Um, what was that like, kind of making the run and getting there?
Yeah, so I think a funny thing about the Final Four game was my last two choices to go to college were Guilford and
I'll
Hampden-Sydney.
bet, yeah.
So obviously the ties with Coach Kimbrough as well, but yeah, I thought it was cool. Like I had built a relationship with Palumbo and then their assistant coach throughout the recruiting process. So we've always, and we play a lot too. So we have that like mutual respect. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. There's a big moment for Coach Kimbrough, obviously playing his alma mater and then his coach. So yeah, it was surreal, honestly. Adam said it really well in the post game after the national championship. He said like, I wish I could play basketball with this group forever. Like I never thought that those like 8 seniors that poured into me as a freshman and sophomore were gonna like stop playing. Like to me, it was just like, oh, we get to hoop again. But it was like after that game, it was definitely like eye opening kind of. It was like I never thought that this team would not be a team anymore. But yeah, it was a really cool run. I mean, older guys like just stepping up. Like they were like, I want to keep playing. Like I want this team to keep going. There's a lot of the times
Right.
we found like against Nebraska Wesleyan and Rowan, so the Sweet 16, Elite Eight. Like we were in like kind of like dogfight, and like one older guy, different every time, would just be like, all right, like now or never. And then obviously Adam said that in the interview post Final Four too. So it was just like it was now or never. We kept that saying throughout the whole run, and it was just like really special. I mean, the connections that we built off the court throughout that run was like you're not going to remember the score in 20 years, but you'll remember those hotel talks and locker room talks. So it was really great. And those 8 seniors, I mean, changed my life for the better. So it was great.
In the same way that you're helping the younger guys now, are there is there one or two or three older guys that when you were like a freshman or maybe even early last year, are there a few guys that you could point to that were the ones that really helped you along the most?
Yeah, I would say two. Obviously, well, Adam, but he's still on the team, so I'd like to. So we talk about him a lot. Maybe we could show some other guys
Yeah,
some.
where this podcast is not about Adam Brazel, that's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, Ryan Clements, number 0 from last year. Kind of I came in as a freshman and had some like family troubles and some I was like sick and all that. And he just like took me in as like his like little brother. And I never we didn't come from similar backgrounds. Like it was none of that. It was just like he just took me in as a little brother, and I was like forever thankful for that. It was just so like natural. He was just like, all right, you're gonna took me under his wing. He was like, you're gonna come with me. Like we're gonna go out to eat. We're gonna hang out. Just get closer. And another one would be Miles Harris, lefty, number
Yeah,
32 from here. Yeah, he was just like every day he was like instilling confidence into me. Like there was never a time like where he would like stray from being a great leader. Like there was never a moment where I like looked at
right.
my like he was a captain for our team, so I was like every day I was like wow, like we picked the right guy just because of the way he like spoke to me, the way he treated me as a young guy, and like the way he treated the rest of the young guys. Yeah, I mean those two guys like I felt like their little brother, and it was just so cool to like play basketball with them, and then be able to do all like the off the court stuff with them, and just go closer with the age gap. So yeah, it was really cool. Those two guys helped a lot, and they were really good basketball players too, so that helped.
You mentioned that you were picking really at the end between Hampden-Sydney and Guilford, two
Mm.
rivals in the ODAC, and
Yeah.
obviously it's where Coach Kimbrough played, and so there was a lot of dynamics there and two great programs. When you were coming out of Lake Norman Christian High School in Charlotte, I believe that's in Charlotte, correct?
Yeah, just right outside of it.
So tell me, like, what type of schools were recruiting you? I mean, obviously we know Hampden-Sydney and Guilford, but were you hearing from NAIs? Were there other levels contacting you? Was it mostly D3? Like, what level and what types of schools were recruiting you?
Yeah, so I had just about like the ODAC, a lot of the ODAC schools were recruiting me, and then I had preferred walk-on opportunities at Apps or a preferred walk-on opportunity at App State, and then North Georgia, a Division II, they were recruiting me pretty heavily, and then I kind of it was weird situation this summer with like how much I was playing, but and then Hampden-Sydney, Guilford, Randolph, who's also in the ODAC, they were recruiting me. But yeah, it kind of just came down to like the effort that Hampden-Sydney kind of put in. Like there was a point where they came to like 11 straight of my high school games, it felt
Wow.
like. They were just there. And then like I scored my 1,000th point, and like they weren't expected to come to that game. Like we hadn't talked about it, and they like kind of detoured and came to it. So it was really cool. I mean, they were just like they built the connection. Like we rarely talked basketball. That's why I thought it was like sick. We talked about life. We talked about like my friends. They would ask like because I kind of like lived on the lake, so they'd be like, "What are you doing today?" I'd be like, "Oh, I'm out on the jet skis," and they would be like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Like Coach Gibson would just be like, "Oh, that's so cool. I wish I was out there." Like just stuff like that. Just build that connection with me. So I thought that was really special. That's no knock on Guilford either. They're really good in the recruiting process. Like Coach Palumbo's awesome. They had an assistant Coach Parker, who I believe now at CNU. They were cool. Nothing against them.
Is there advice that you would give to current high school seniors across the country that are getting recruited by small colleges, whether that's D3, D2, NAI, junior colleges? Is there any advice you would give for these kids in terms of like sorting it out and narrowing down decisions and trying to figure out like what's important in the decision? What would you say, Shane, that would help these kids?
Yeah, I would say the two most important things that I kind of focused on were you don't have to rush it. There's no rush on who's gonna contact you or like a decision that you have to make. And then the second one would just be go where you're wanted. I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in level or get caught up in like a big school versus a small
Right.
school. But yeah, I was just like um just the time that it took, or like the time that Hampden-Sydney took on me, I thought was really special. They made it a point that they wanted me, and I thought that meant a lot. And I never rushed my decision. I committed in February of my senior year, so a little later than most would say. But yeah, I just thought I enjoyed it. I loved the recruiting process. It was just
Sure.
like something I took in. You only get recruited once, so I mean, I thought it was really special. And then I just like kind of took my time, and then yeah, it ended up being Coach Kimbrough in Sydney.
In terms of the ODAC, I mentioned that you guys are 10-1 right now. The ODAC race, there are five great teams that are
Mm-hmm.
totally bunched up here. So Hampden-Sydney 10-1, Randolph Macon's 10-1, Guilford's 9-2, Virginia Wesleyan's 9-2, and Roanoke's 9-2.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 5-team race, but within those five, it seems like any of the five can win this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's first just talk about the ODAC. Like what is it like playing in this league where there are like all five of those teams are legitimate top 25 candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other teams in the league that have gotten votes throughout the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got 6, 7 teams that people have looked at.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like playing in a league like that?
Yeah, I think a lot of times we say like don't take any wins for granted. I mean, there's teams with records that aren't like that great, but then they'll give you a dogfight on Wednesday night.
Right.
So I think it just like top to bottom, the league's really tough. A lot of things that like I see is like the coaches prepare like at an extremely high level. And it's just like really like it takes a lot to win a basketball game, and it takes a really lot more to win a basketball game in the ODAC. So yeah, it's special. Like the competition is amazing. Like you can't take a Wednesday and a Saturday off. It's special. And then it's not going anywhere. I mean, five teams in the top or like getting votes for top 25, five teams of the two in the final four last
Right.
year, and then off making Elite Eight, Sweet 16 up there, and they're always around. So yeah, it's special. I mean, the just like competition every time you play someone, it's just second to none.
You guys have 2 wins already versus Randolph Macon, which is hard to do. Like
Mm.
this, they're a powerhouse. They
Yep.
won a national championship. They're always atop the standings in the ODAC. They are an absolute national powerhouse and an ODAC powerhouse. You won at their place on December 7th. You beat them, I think, at your place on November 13th. Um, Talk about like coming out of this season so far with 2 wins against Randolph Macon.
Yeah, obviously they're our rival, so it's really special. and you like to say that you treat every game the same, but you get up a little bit more for the Randolph-Macon game. But yeah, I mean, they're really good. They have two all ODAC guys, and they've been really good for years. They have a culture set. Obviously, Coach Merkel, one of the best in the country. So yeah, it's really hard to. That was the third time I beat them in my time, and before that, I mean, there was classes of Hampden-Sydney guys who like never beat them. So I mean, they're really good. They're well coached. They have a culture that everyone buys into, and yeah, they're special. I mean, obviously they won a national championship. They're always in the hunt in March. So yeah, it's really cool. Obviously winning at their place is really tough. They have a great environment. They play well at home. And then they came here and our crowd was really rowdy. Adam played really well. We had a lot of guys step up in big moments like down the stretch, some offensive rebounds, like diving on loose balls and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like every possession against them is like prize, like you got to take it to the next level. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say you squeak away with 2 wins, but it's you don't take those 2 wins against Randolph-Macon for granted for sure.
You mentioned kind of being the hunted a little bit, so to speak, where now you're the guys that the rest of the league, the leagues that the teams that are at the bottom, good teams, talented teams with good players that trying to knock off.
Yeah.
What is that like? I mean, I think from a player's standpoint, this is an interesting question because, like, my team might be the best team in the country, Illinois Wesleyan. There might be two, they might be five. They're somewhere in that mix with you guys. And they played a barn burner Wednesday, overtime against Carroll. And Carroll's had a tough season. Carroll's like eighth in the CCIW.
Mhm.
Carroll came in there, played hard. They have good players. They made shots. What is it like for a player on one of these teams that's a favorite to have all these teams coming in saying like we're coming here to beat Hampden-Sydney and like kind of getting everyone's best shot as a player? What's that like?
Yeah, so first of all, we had a game on Wednesday, and it ended in time for us to catch the end of that Illinois Wesleyan game. So we saw the end of that. It was a hard nosed game. It was good to watch. First time I've really gotten to watch your boys, so it was really cool to
You
see.
might get to see him in person before the season's over, I
Yeah,
think.
we talked about that. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just like just being like I talk about it a lot. It's like it's such a privilege to play college basketball. I mean, you can't go into any game and think guys are below you or think teams are below you. I mean, they're doing the same thing you're doing. They're chasing like the same like ring that you're chasing. They're chasing the same like win total or whatever it is, same goals that you're chasing. So you just gotta like the way I see it is just like you can't take it for granted. It's such a privilege. I mean, college basketball, there's no greater feeling than playing college basketball. So why would you go into a game, down or, out of it a little bit? I just think it's so special. I think treating every day, treating every practice, treating every game the same because it's something that not everybody gets to do. So,
Yeah, and I think people that are tuning in, I think the big thing is like you guys aren't robots, right? I mean, like you mentioned, like getting up a little bit more for Randolph-Macon than maybe an average game, and that's just like these student athletes. They're not robots. They don't go onto the court every game and have the same emotions and intensity, and they might by the end of the game, but
right.
that's just how it goes. A few more things, Shane, and I appreciate all your time. Um, Division 3 itself, you chose Division 3. You came down to a couple D3 options, a couple great programs. Now that you've been in Division 3 for 2.5 seasons, what would you say you enjoy about NCAA Division 3?
Yeah, I love the balance that you have. Obviously, as an athlete, you focus a lot on your sport, but then the balance that you have between your sport, your academics, and your life, I think throughout like a whole year is awesome. I think like going home in the summer for like the whole summer and being able to like go through a process of your own individually really like can help you grow. And then like the focus that a lot of high academic Division 3s have on like the schoolwork side of things is just like awesome. Like you're going to school to get an education. So I think it's really cool like how much Hampden-Sydney in particular focuses on like the classroom side and like how much that truly matters and getting the education that you like came into college to strive for. And then obviously like the life side of it. Like I get to see my family a lot. Like they come up for games. It's not
Sure.
that far. And then like in the summer I'm with them the whole time. So it's like I said, it's a privilege. Like there's a balance. There's pros and cons, but I think
Right.
there's a lot more pros to small college basketball than a lot would say without experiencing it for sure.
You mentioned the balance and the focus on academics.
Mhm.
Now, when I was a junior in college, I had probably changed majors twice and was going to change majors two or three more times. So I don't expect this to be a perfect answer. But do you know? Do you have a set major, and do you know what you want to do after school?
Yeah, so I'm an English major with a rhetoric minor.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I want to do is coaching. And obviously I know that that's a really tough field. Well, first all, I want to start off by playing overseas. I want to play a couple years overseas if the opportunity presents itself. But then I want to kind of get back into coaching. And then I've kind of I took the English route because it's kind of I know coaching is like a tough field to stay in. So if whatever like doesn't work out or by that it's I want to go into like journalism, sports writing, kind of like I see a lot of stuff like obviously on Twitter. I keep up with a lot of it. I think it's really cool that like people for a living can write about something they're passionate about, and I've always loved reading and writing, so I kind of wanted to combine sports and then like my academic passions and put it together, so I went the English route.
And I think when I talked to Adam earlier this year, wasn't he in like something called the Rhetoric Studio? Is that a thing? Am I remembering that? The Rhetoric Studio?
Yeah, yeah. So he's also an English major with a leadership minor. So yeah, but yeah, the Rhetoric Studio is it's really cool. He works in there. He kind of like helps younger students with papers and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like a nice like technology center kind of for rhetoric students. It's really cool.
Up next for the Tigers is Wednesday at home against Virginia Wesleyan. I mentioned you guys are 10-1, they're 9-2. This is one of those games that swings the standings in one way, and it's a huge game.
Yeah.
They're a team that, as I'm trying to figure out my top 25 ballot today, I'm trying to figure out if I'm voting for them. They're very much in the conversation. What's the outlook here on your game against Virginia Wesleyan this week?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, they're well coached. Coach Macedo won a national championship during his time. And yeah, they have great players. They're gonna be ready for us. They've seen us a couple of times. A lot of their guys have been in the league a long time. So yeah, they're really good. They're really well coached. They've played a lot of good, like a big games. So it's not like they've had a slack of a schedule. They're prepared just as any other team would be. But yeah, I mean they're good. They're at the top of the ODAC for a reason. They win a lot of games for a reason, and they have a really good point guard over there, who like kind of runs the show. So yeah, we're gonna have to be on our A game against the Marlins.
The season is starting to get a little bit late here, so you have 5 regular season games left. Virginia Wesleyan at Bridgewater versus Guilford at Roanoke at Eastern Mennonite. There's just
Mhm.
5 more games, and then the ODAC tournament is February 26th to March 2nd.
Yep.
Championships there are played at the Salem Civic Center in Salem, Virginia. What is it like to be here already? We're in February now, and it starts to feel like things are becoming more and more important, and the
Yeah.
clock is ticking. Do you guys feel that as players, that like we're getting late into this thing a little bit?
Yeah, I think just like it flew by. Obviously, like it feels like 2 weeks ago we were in preseason conditioning. I mean, it's like when you're having fun, when you're playing basketball, like it kind of stacks. It's like Wednesday, Saturday, you get into that routine and it kind of flies by weekly. But yeah, it's getting like crunch time, obviously. Big games, obviously, like every game matters, like even a little bit more towards the end of the season. And yeah, it's special. Like last year, we got to play as long as you possibly can. But we know that's not always the case. So we really take it one day at a time, one day deals, as we've said before. But yeah, it's special. It flew by, but it's
Yeah.
been really cool to be a part of this team.
Yeah, we'll be in the NCAA tournament before we know it, and you guys are in fantastic shape to obviously be part of that bracket. Still some work to do, but you're
Yeah.
in really good shape right now in terms of where you're at in the NPI and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, Before I let you go, got to ask about Coach Kimbrough. Caleb's been on here a couple times in a group episode, one time on his own. We're going to do another full episode sometime, probably before the season ends. Um, what's it like to play for Coach Kimbrough? What's the culture like under him? And just talk about that a little bit.
I mean, yeah, it's special, obviously. And all of my basketball like years before college, it was like basketball mattered, and then like you guys can become friends after that kind of deal. But once I got here, I realized that like Coach Kimbrough really is set on like having a culture that kind of like is bigger than everything else. It's like if the culture isn't set, then like nothing else can grow. So that was really special to see. And obviously, like coming in, he treated me like his like family when I came in. I had some struggles, as you know, but like he's just been there. Like it's so easy to talk to him. Like a lot of people like see their head coach as like a scary figure. It's so easy to talk to him. He's great. I mean, his basketball knowledge is through the roof. Like I've learned so much since I thought as a freshman, I came in, I thought I knew it all, and he blows my mind every day with like his preparation, the way he attacks like the day, the way he like handles a scout, anything like that. He's really special. And then just like the way he's like so it's like the way he talks to like people on campus, students wise, and then like the cafeteria workers, like they see Coach Kimbrough, their day gets better. Like it's just like so special, like the small campus, how much impact he has, and it's really cool to see. Yeah, he's just like a role model to me, just the same way as Palumbo was to him. So yeah, it's really cool. He's great. It's really easy to play for him, like personable, all that. Yeah, he's great. We love Coach Kimbrough.
Well, it's great to hear you talk about him because he's certainly one of the best coaches in Division Three, and it was great to see you guys play in person last year in Fort Wayne.
Mhm.
It's no wonder why you guys play so well when you kind of see the atmosphere and the culture and how you guys interact. So that's really cool. I mentioned this isn't an Adam Brazel QCast, but he is having a monster season: 20
Yeah.
points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals a game. Um, you guys are led by one of the best guards in Division Three, and that must make your life easier as a big. Like some of the passes between you guys,
Yeah.
you guys really have a comfort level, but it's got to be easier taking the floor every day with an Adam Brazel, right, Shane?
Yeah, I like to think that connection stems from like off the court stuff, as I've said plenty of times. But yeah, he's special. He's one of the best players in the country. The way he handles like his everyday life is just like really like inspiring to see, and it's like no surprise that the results that he's getting are
Yeah.
happening. If I see the work that he puts in every day, yeah, he's a special player, person, friend, roommate. So yeah, he's great.
Well, I really appreciate your time, Shane. And again, where we started this, which is that just like the support you've given the show, the desire to want to be part of it, couldn't thank you more. Like I said at the beginning, is never thought that this would grow to something that like a great hooper at Hampden-Sydney would want to come on. So it's really cool. The Tigers folks are 17-3. They're 10-1 in the ODAC. They play Virginia Wesleyan this Wednesday. And there's big things ahead here. I think when the poll comes out tomorrow, guessing the Tigers move up a little bit from 8 to 5, 6, probably something like that. And so, really good team having a monster season. Shane, I'll ask you to kind of close us out here today. So certainly, Hampden-Sydney Nation is powerful. I know that from Twitter. So
Yeah.
I know that they will be tuning into this. I know D3 fans will be tuning into this. What would you leave everyone with today, Shane Fernald, on the QCast?
Yeah, I would just say like thank you. Obviously, Division Three isn't this glamorous, popular thing, but the way you guys cover it and the way that people are passionate about it is so special. And I'm really just like grateful to be a part of it. I'm sure we'll talk again, but yeah, it's been really good. I'm glad I got to get on the show finally, But yeah, it's been great, and we really appreciate all that you guys do.
Well, there was that one game where you were knocking on the door of that triple double,
Yeah.
and it was like a 40-point game, and I'm sitting there looking at I'm watching the game and I'm watching the stats, and I'm like we're gonna pull the starters here. He's gonna pull the starters, and this kid's gonna come up like an assist short. And I can't remember your final line, but you may have missed it by like 2 assists or something. It was really close, right?
Yeah, it was a game in December, I believe, and it was 12-10-8, I believe.
It was right there. In fact, there was a moment late where like you had that like little backdoor pass to Adam.
Yep,
That
yep.
was like assist 8. There was many minutes left, and I'm thinking
I
it's
know.
like we're up 40 here. It's time. Like so. I look, you're grinding. You've been playing great. That game was great. You've had monster games throughout the year. So kudos. Folks, that is Shane Fernald. He's a 6'7". Is 255 correct? Are you 6'7", 255? Is that right?
I'm a little more than 255, probably more than 265 range, but yeah, 6'7", a little more than 255, but
This
that's what
guy's a beast, folks. He's a monster. This guy is not one of these like soft, tall, skinny D3 posts. This dude is a monster. So Shane, thank you so much for everything. I look forward to seeing you in person in a game. And for some reason, I feel like Illinois Wesleyan versus Hampden-Sydney is an actual thing that's going to happen here.
the more
And
we talk about it, the more that the chances
yeah,
arise.
for it to
Sure.
happen based on where these teams are going to be in the NPI, like it would be like an Elite Eight Final Four. So like I'm feeling this happening, Shane. So that'd be amazing. Folks, that is Shane Fernald, 6'7", forward from Hampden-Sydney. Shane, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you so much, Bob.